Hey everyone, it is me again, your friendly neighborhood blogger who has probably made every financial mistake in the book, so you do not have to. Today, I want to talk about something that hits close to home for a lot of us, that gnawing feeling in your gut about money, that fear, that anxiety. It is real, and trust me, I have lived it. A recent study by Allianz Insurance Company threw some numbers out there that honestly did not surprise me one bit because I have been in those shoes. 67% of Americans are more afraid of running out of money than they are of dying. 67%. Think about that for a second. We are more scared of our bank accounts hitting zero than our lives ending, and 57% get anxious when the market takes a dive. That is not just some statistic to brush off. That is a deep-seated fear, and I understand it completely. It is because when you do not have a clear plan, when you do not know how much you can actually spend, or what happens if the market crashes, every little dip feels like a personal attack on your future, on your livelihood. It feels like that might be the moment your retirement dreams just shatter, and that is when the panic sets in. It feels like your financial future is completely out of your hands, tied to the whims of the market, the economy, or whatever crazy headline pops up next. I know that feeling all too well. When I was younger, full of that get-rich-quick mentality, I chased every hot tip, every speculative investment. I thought I was smart, but really, I was just letting external forces dictate my financial well-being. My entire portfolio, which was not much at the time, swung wildly with every news cycle. Every market drop sent me into a spiral of anxiety. I was convinced I was going to lose everything, and honestly, a lot of the time, I did. My early investment years were a series of missteps, chasing high returns without understanding the underlying risks, and consequently, losing a significant portion of my hard-earned savings. I jumped into short-term trades, trying to time the market, which is a fool's errand. I fell for scams that promised unrealistic returns, thinking I had found a secret shortcut to wealth. I invested heavily in single stocks, ignoring the basic principle of diversification, and when the market inevitably turned, I would panic sell, locking in losses, only to watch those same assets recover later. It was a vicious cycle of emotional trading, all fueled by that underlying fear of not having enough, of missing out, of making the wrong move. But you know what? After losing a good chunk of my savings, after that painful wake-up call, I realized that I had to take control. I had to stop letting fear and external factors dictate my financial decisions. I needed a framework, a plan, something that put me back in the driver's seat. So how do we reduce this fear? How do we gain some real control? I have learned a few crucial things, lessons often learned the hard way, first and foremost. And this is probably the biggest takeaway: have a written financial plan. If there is one thing that could instantly dial down these fears, it is this. The data is shockingly consistent here. Big firms like Vanguard and Charles Schwab have done research, and they all say the same thing. People with a written plan are 2 to 3 times more confident. They are more likely to stay invested when the market inevitably goes south. But here is the kicker. 48% of Americans do not have one. Almost half of us are just winging it. No wonder there is so much anxiety. Just by sorting this out, we could massively improve those fear statistics. Here is another problem, though. Most people, myself included, did not know what a financial plan actually entails beyond just saving money. That same Allianz survey said many do not know how to plan past just contributing to a retirement account. Look, saving is a great start, absolutely. But it is just the beginning. You need a target retirement number, a realistic timeline for when you plan to retire, and how long you expect that retirement to last. And crucially, you need a distribution strategy. How is that pile of money going to turn into a steady income stream? Where is your emergency fund? How are you going to cover any gaps? This is how you transform just saving money into a real, actionable plan. This is how you stop guessing and start knowing. Allianz also highlighted that many Americans are clueless about how Social Security fits into their retirement picture. And I was one of them for a long time, guys. Seriously, if you have not done it yet, go to SSA.gov, the official Social Security Administration website, and create your free account. Log in, look at your work history, see your projected benefits at different ages, from 62 to your full retirement age, and even 70. This is critical because it tells you when you should claim, and more importantly, it shows you your income floor. This is money that comes in every single month, no matter what the market is doing. It is your bedrock. It shows you that your portfolio does not have to cover 100% of your spending. This was a revelation for me. It drastically changed how I viewed my own retirement savings. Another huge blind spot, and one I completely ignored in my early days, is taxes in retirement. I just assumed taxes would be this massive burden. But guess what? Research from the Center for Retirement Research shows that most retirees pay no federal income taxes. 80% of households pay federal income taxes during their working years. But that drops to 50% by 65 and 35% by 70. Why? Because income often declines. Social Security is partially taxed. Free for many, there are no payroll taxes, and many states have more favorable tax rates for retirees. Taxes can fall dramatically. Now, a caveat, or dual Social Security benefits, or a pension. Your situation might be different. You might even stay in a higher tax bracket. The key is to understand your unique situation. Do not just assume. And then there is healthcare. Oh boy, healthcare costs in retirement. This is a massive source of uncertainty, and it is incredibly hard to estimate on your own. I have seen so many people, including myself, completely underestimate this. This is why I have teamed up with a company called Chapter. They are a Medicare advisory platform, and they are a godsend. They help you compare plans across major carriers, check your doctors, prescriptions, and coverage to find a plan that actually fits your needs. They can help project your healthcare costs, and a massive anxiety reducer. If you are nearing 65 or already on Medicare and just want a second opinion, talk to their licensed advisors. I will put a link and a phone number in the description. Full disclosure, it is an affiliate link, but I only recommend resources I truly believe in. Another powerful way to combat this fear of running out of money or market downturns is to shift from portfolio-based thinking to income-based planning. This is a game changer backed by research from folks like David Blanchett and Michael Fink. When retirees think, I have a $400,000 portfolio, it feels abstract. It is hard to connect that number to your actual life in retirement. What kind of life will that support? It is hard to visualize, but if we shift our thinking to income, especially guaranteed income and then discretionary income, suddenly things become concrete. Let me give you an example, make it real. Let us say you have a household where one person gets $1,600 a month from Social Security, and the other gets $2,500, that is $4,100 a month in guaranteed income. No matter what the market does, those checks are coming in. Now, let us say this household also has $400,000 invested at a 5% withdrawal rate, that is $20,000 a year, or about $1,700 a month. That is your flexible income. Maybe you spend a bit more when the market is doing great and pull back a little when it is down. Think about how different that feels instead of I have $400,000. What kind of life can I have? You are saying, I have $4,100 a month in guaranteed income, plus about $1,700 a month in flexible income. That is a real, tangible picture. We have been working with monthly income figures our entire lives, so this feels familiar, controllable. The research confirms it. When people frame their wealth as income, not just assets, they feel more stable, more in control, more confident, and crucially, they feel less anxious and more comfortable actually spending their money. This was a huge shift for me, moving from watching a number on a screen fluctuate to understanding what that number translated into for my actual life. Next, understanding safe withdrawal flexibility. This is a big one that hangs over the heads of pre-retirees. What if I retire and the market crashes right away? My entire retirement plan is ruined. That is the fear. Right, but a well-designed plan does not work like that. Research from Morningstar and Vanguard shows that the 4% rule is a conservative baseline for rigid withdrawals. But real-world retirees are not rigid. They have flexibility. When you introduce even basic flexibility, starting withdrawal rates can actually go up to 5 to 5.7%, and the long-term success rates improve dramatically. And we are not talking about massive lifestyle changes here. Sometimes it is as simple as skipping an inflation raise or temporarily reducing your pull from your portfolio by 5 to 10%. Let us go back to our example household with the $400,000 portfolio. They are withdrawing $1,700 a month or $20,400 a year. Let us say the market goes down and they reduce their draw by 10%. That is now $1,547 a month, or $18,564 a year. That is a reduction of about $1,800 a year. This is not a massive change. It does not feel like you are sacrificing your entire lifestyle. And remember, they still have that guaranteed Social Security income coming in. Making these small adjustments at the right time, when it matters most, can have an outsized impact on the long-term success of your portfolio. It can improve success rates by 10 to 20 plus percentage points. It can preserve tens of thousands, even $100,000 or more in portfolio value, and extend the life of your portfolio by years. The benefit is not just the dollar amount. It is when you make the change. You avoid selling when your assets are depressed. When your portfolio is most vulnerable, you give your portfolio time to recover. This gives you a specific plan, a playbook, for when the market inevitably throws you a curveball, and having a plan, knowing exactly what to do, that is everything. Small, temporary adjustments for permanent improvement. Number 4, building a cash buffer. This is your sequence of returns, risk protection. This is one of the most practical ways to reduce anxiety in retirement. The research is clear. You want to have anywhere from 3 to 5 years worth of cash at the ready, stored in something safe and accessible like a money market fund, CDs, or T-bills. What does this do? It eliminates the need to sell investments during a downturn. It protects you from having to draw on your investments early in retirement if you happen to retire into a bear market. It turns market drops into a non-event for you because you are not even touching your portfolio. Instead of panicking, "Oh my goodness, the market is down. What do I do?" you get to say, "The market is down. It is fine. I do not need the market right now anyway." But you might be thinking, 3 to 5 years of expenses in cash. That is a lot of money. How am I supposed to build that? Here is the good news. You do not have to cover all of your expenses. You only need to cover the gap between your necessary spending and your guaranteed income streams. Going back to our dual income household, they have $4,100 a month from Social Security, which is guaranteed. They want $1,700 a month from their portfolio. That $1,700 is the gap, so you are only building a cash buffer for that gap. In this scenario, a 3-year buffer is about $61,200. It is not insignificant, but it is much more manageable than covering all expenses. This gives you multiple years where you do not have to touch your portfolio, allowing it to recover from any downturns. This was huge for my own peace of mind. Understanding I was not just building a giant savings account, but a targeted buffer. Number 5, allow Social Security to serve as your foundation, your income floor. This is one of the most underappreciated stabilizers in retirement. For low earners, Social Security can replace 75% of their income. For middle-income earners, it is around 40%. For married couples without a pension, it can replace about 62% of household income. These are not small numbers. Once you understand your projected benefit, you can plan when to claim and how it fits into your overall income picture. This changes everything. Your portfolio does not have to carry the full burden layer in 2 more realities. Many retirees spend less than they did while working, and Social Security covers a meaningful portion of income, especially for lower and middle-income earners. All of a sudden, that gap you need to fill from your portfolio becomes much more manageable. If you expect to live on $60,000 a year, and Social Security covers 80% of it, you only need your portfolio to cover 20%, or $12,000. That feels a lot more doable than covering the entire $60,000. For most Americans, Social Security is the bedrock, the income floor, on which your entire retirement plan is built. If you take all these pieces and put them into an actual plan, a written plan, clear income floors, like Social Security, maybe a pension or annuity, a flexible withdrawal strategy so you know exactly when and how much to adjust during a downturn, and a 3 to 5-year cash buffer so you have money set aside. The experience of retirement changes completely. A market drop no longer feels threatening. You simply turn to your plan and you know exactly what steps to follow. You know where your income is coming from, how much you can adjust, and what you are not going to touch. The uncertainty vanishes, the fear diminishes. So to answer that big question from the start, what can realistically improve those scary statistics about financial fear? If we strip it down to the highest impact actions, it comes down to 3 things, based on my hard-won experience. 1. Get people to create a written plan. This alone can dramatically reduce fear because uncertainty disappears when you have a clear, actionable roadmap. I have seen it in my own life, and with countless others too. Shift the conversation to income, not assets. Stop just looking at the size of your portfolio and start asking, what income does this produce? Know your guaranteed income streams and your flexible ones. This tells you exactly how much wiggle room your plan has. It reduces anxiety and boosts your spending confidence. It is a completely different mindset. And 3, teach flexible withdrawal strategies and have a downturn playbook. You have to have a plan for when the market does not cooperate. And trust me, it will not always cooperate. As long as you have a clear plan with steps you can follow, that goes a long way to building confidence and giving you peace of mind. When you give someone a clear plan, telling them when to adjust, how much to adjust, and for how long, it channels all that panic into, okay, these are the steps I need to follow to succeed. 67% of Americans are afraid of running out of money more than death. But the data, and my own painful journey, tells me it is because they do not understand how their plan works. Or, more often, they do not have a plan at all. Once you understand what you can spend, what happens in a downturn, and exactly where your income is coming from, all that fear becomes much more manageable. At the end of the day, it is very hard to manage what you do not understand. That is why it is so important to understand your money, so you can take control of your life. I do not want you to be more afraid of running out of money than you are of running out of life. I want you to feel confident with your money so you can enjoy everything you have worked so hard for. What are your thoughts on these statistics? I would love to hear. Leave a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you are new here, please consider subscribing.